welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I decided to do a more natural everyday look for beginners. I thought this could help you out with your routine, and yeah, if you want to see how I achieve this look, then please keep watching. So the first thing you want to do is obviously moisturize. I've already washed my face. You want to start with a clean face, and I've already used the moisturizer. I used the one from The Ordinary, and after that, what you have to do is obviously start with a foundation. If you don't use foundation, you can obviously use a BB cream or a CC cream, something that you're comfortable with, something you're gonna be, wearing throughout the day, and that you're gonna be, as I said, comfortable. I usually wear a foundation to work, but not every day. Sometimes I don't even wear foundation. So both ways is fine, whatever floats your boat. So yeah, we're gonna start with the primer. I'm using my Hangover primer, this one right here, but there's so many good primers out there. You don't have to buy this one because it's quite pricey, but I mean, it does have a lot of product in it. You can use the one from Wet n Wild. That one works really well. We use a primer that is for your skin type. I have a dry skin, so I need a hydrating one, but if you have oily skin, then I suggest you use more of like a silicone based primer. Once I've primed, I'm gonna start by adding some foundation. I like a more luminous foundation, so I'm gonna mix these two. This is what I always use. So I'm using the Charlotte Tilbury foundation, the luminous one. I'm using the one that's in the shade medium, number 4. I'm not really a medium because I'm quite white now, so that's why I'm mixing it with the Hello Happy foundation from Benefit, and I'm in the shade 3. So I'm just gonna add them together. So I usually use like maybe one pump all over my face, and to make it a bit darker, because this one is really light, I'm gonna use a few dollops of this one, not so much. So you can either use a beauty blender or you can use a brush. I'm gonna use a brush today, and then I'm gonna go on top of it with the beauty blender, just because it's a bit faster, and like this you don't need like a super precise technique. With the brush it's a lot easier, especially if you're like starting out. So yeah, I'm using the Zoeva brush, buffer brush, the one that's 104. So I'm just gonna mix them on my skin. And as you can see, in the beginning, I'm stapling, I'm not like dragging. So I'm using stapling motions. And then I'm gonna start blending it out. You also wanna like drag it on your neck because you don't wanna be able to see the difference. Some people like to put it on their ears as well. I don't do that, but you can do that as well, especially if your ears are a bit more red. These earrings are everything, but they're kind of annoying. Okay, next up, I'm gonna take my beauty blender. This one is from Juno & Co. This is one of their new ones. And with this one, I like to just go over that foundation just to make sure that there's no lines from the brush, because sometimes brushes can leave like marks, from the bristles. So I just like to go over it and make sure that there are absolutely no harsh lines. Next up, I'm gonna use my Born This Way concealer. I'm in the shade light beige, and I'm just gonna add a bit right here because I have very dark under eye circles. And I'm also gonna add a bit on my lid. So you can either use a petal brush or you can just use your beauty blender. If you use a brush, it's a lot quicker. So I'm gonna start with a brush and just pat it. As you can see, it's not properly blended, so I'm gonna take a bit more. And just blend it out with the beauty blender. You wanna make sure that you get in those inner corners, especially around your eye, like right here, because you don't want any lines or streaks or anything weird. Next up, I'm just gonna use this Astor 24 Hours concealer. This one is ivory. I'm just gonna take a little bit and add it right here because I want my face to be a bit more luminous, because as you can see, it's all just one color. So I'm adding a bit right here and also on my forehead and then down my nose, because you don't want your face to be one color, you want it to be a bit more highlighted. And I'm gonna blend it out with my beauty blender. Or if you can also use a brush and just use stippling motions, whatever you prefer. Whatever is easier for you, because that's what it's all about. Okay, next up, you want to take some loose powder. I'm using the one from RC May, and you want to set everything. I'm gonna take a fluffy brush, this one right here. This one is from Real Techniques. It's a 201 brush. And I'm just gonna set everything. You don't want to add too much powder because you want it to look more natural. But yeah, just setting it so we can add the bronzer. Then you want to take your beauty blender and take a bit of that powder and just set it under your eyes. You want to set that concealer because otherwise it's going to crease throughout the day. Okay, and as you can see, I did not set my lid. I'm going to take my brush from Better, this one right here, and I'm just going to blend out that concealer that I applied because you don't want it to be creasing when you apply eyeshadow. So I'm just blending it out. And then I'm gonna take my Naked 2 palette. And, oh, this is the mini one, by the way. I'm gonna start with the shade Frisk. I'm gonna take a fluffy brush, this one right here, my 221 brush from Zoeva. And so I'm just gonna use circular motions, as you can see right here. And you don't wanna press too hard, you just wanna tap it lightly. And add it in steps. So add one layer, and if you're happy with it, then that's fine. And then if you want a bit more, just add another layer. And as you can see, I did not set my concealer. I just blended it with my brush from Better without any powder on it. And I'm actually setting it right now with this light shade. And like this, it's not going to create any streaks, because if you set your eyes with powder and then you add more powder on top of it, like if you set it with the loose powder and then you'd add this one, it can like blend a little bit weird. So this is a new technique I've been using for the past like year and a half, and it's been working wonderful for me, especially with like super deep shades. So yeah, that's what I do. I don't set the concealer, and then I just go in straight with eyeshadow. I'm adding a bit more. As you can see, I'm creating sort of a C, you know, just going like that. I'm not doing anything else. So I'm starting in the outer corner and then doing like a C. Then I'm gonna take a smaller brush. This one is a W7 brush, a pointy brush. I'm gonna use the shade Cover and just add it in the outer corner. So as you can see, I'm just placing the color. I'm not doing anything else. I'm just placing it right here in the outer corner. And then doing the exact same thing on the other eye. Just placing it. I'm tapping my brush off a bit. And then placing that color. And then I'm gonna take my fluffy brush and just use very little circular motions just to blend it out. And as you can see, I'm not going like all over. I'm just using it in the outer corner, and that's it. And then I'm gonna take my Ubu brush, this one right here. You can use any small pointy brush that you have. And I'm gonna take that shade Cover again. And I'm just gonna add it on my lower lash line. Okay. Then I'm going to take my fluffy brush again and go over that one more time, just to make sure it's all blended. And then I'm going to take one of these shades, the nude one. I think I'm going to take Skimp, this one right here. And I'm using this 232 brush from Zoeva. And I'm just going to add it on my lid right here. And as you can see, I'm just patting it. And then I'm going to take my fluffy brush again from Zoeva, the 221 brush. And I'm going to go over that shade again, the first shade that we use, and make sure that ivory shade is blended into the darker one. Okay, next up I'm going to do my brows. As you can see, my eyes are obviously not finished, but I'm going to do the brows now. And And that's it, I think. So I'm using my brow pomade from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I'm in the shade Ebony. And I'm just adding a bit here, because you don't want to take too much. And I'm starting off with like the tiniest amount. So I'm just gonna like use small strokes. And I'm not being super specific, so it's like as if you're combing your brows. And always go upward. And here I'm just creating like a bit of a shape. And then you want to brush it. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing on my other brow. If you don't want to do this step, you can just add directly the brow plumber. So yeah, whatever is more comfortable for you. Most days I just use this one, but since today I thought, you know, I would do a bit more of an in-depth video on this natural makeup look. Using the one from L'Oreal, I'm in the shade medium. I'm in the shade medium dark. And it's just as if you're applying mascara, but the same thing to your brows. So I'm just using a tiny amount, and then if I feel like I need more, then I'll add more, and I'm always brushing my brows upward. If you don't know how to use eyeliner, I suggest, you know, just use some mascara and that's it. I always have to line my eyes. I also have to use eyeliner. So I'm gonna use my eyeliner from Kat Von D and then one from NYX. If you wanna see a more in-depth video of how I use eyeliner, let me know in the comments down below and I'll do like a specific video on how to use eyeliner, okay? So I'm just gonna do my eyeliner off camera and we'll be right back. Okay, next up I'm using mascara, this one from Maybelline. This is my favorite mascara. This one is in the shade Ciglia Sensational. And you want to use mascara quickly because when you add eyeliner, or when I add eyeliner, I always touch my lashes, and if it dries, then it's very hard to use mascara. So what I typically do, well, I didn't do it now, but I line one eye and then I use mascara, and then I do the eyeliner on the other eye and then use mascara, because like this it doesn't have time to dry, so it doesn't like make your lashes stick together. Okay, now that we're done with the eyes, it's time for bronzer. I'm gonna use my bronzer from Revolution, this one right here. This one is called Bronzer Reloaded Holiday Romance. And I'm gonna take a fluffy brush, this one right here. So yeah, I typically use a fiber brush because like this, it doesn't add too much product at once, and yeah, you can always add more, you know. So as you can see, if you go like that, the easiest way to apply bronzer is by making this face. So yeah, the one tip is to just go like that. And then just apply it like a C, like as if you're doing your C, you know, like a C shape. Just right here. And as you can see, when you go like that, there's like a natural line that you have right here. So just follow that line all the way to the almost to your temple, and you want to use circular motions, and then just add some of it on your temples as well. And this bronzer is perfect because it's not very strong, so you can just add one layer and then see how it is, and then add a little bit more. If you add if you use like a very strong bronzer, then you might add too much at once and then that will be a disaster. So just use one that's a little bit lighter and go from there. Okay, next up I'm using my brush, my 109 brush from Zoeva. So it has to be, you know, it has to be this shape in order to make the contour. So I'm using my Hoola contour, and here instead of using a C shape, I'm just gonna go right here, just underneath the cheek. Okay? You don't want to go on top of your cheek, you just want to go right here, underneath. Just see where you have this this bone, just go underneath. And then what's left of it, just use it on your temples. And a bit here as well. I'm gonna take the fiber brush again and blend it out because you don't want any harsh lines. Okay, so the last step is adding highlighter. The reason why I always add highlighter at the end is because if you know, smear a little bit of that mascara, or if you make a mistake, then you can just remove your highlighter very easily. So if you just apply it at the end, then if you have like an accident, then nothing will happen to the highlighter. So I always suggest adding it at the end. And also the blush. I'm gonna add the blush first actually, and then the highlighter. So I'm gonna use my Water and Sweat Proof blush from Catrice. This one is in the shade Glistening Pink. And I'm gonna take that same fiber brush that I used for my bronzer and just add a bit. So what I do is I just smile and then add it on the apples of my cheek. And then you want to bring it, like you want to connect it with that bronzer, you know. And a tiny bit on the nose. Okay, then you want to take a brush, like a very thin brush. This one is my I can never remember the name. You know, the one from Morphe. I think it's Y7, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just link it down below. And I'm going to take my Wet n Wild highlighter. This one is super affordable. This one is in the shade Precious Petal. So I'm just gonna add it on top of that, on that collarbone. So just right here. You don't wanna add it too close to your eye, but just here using like a C shape again. And I'm using circular motions as well. And you could also add it on your temple. So see, just like right here above that bronzer and that blush. And with highlighter, if you make a mistake or if you add too much, you can just take your beauty blender and then pat it. But that's not my case because I love highlighter so much, so I always add quite a lot. And then also on the bridge of the nose. I also add a bit on my chin. So as you can see, I'm just going like that, you know, very, very softly and lightly. You don't want to press too hard. So you have to always take your brush from the end, not here, because otherwise you put too much pressure. So always take your brush here and then just swirl. Then I'm gonna use a lip liner from ColourPop. These are super affordable. So I'm just gonna line my lips. Oh, this one is in the shade Little One. So I'm always gonna start at the edge and then bring it in. And for my upper lip, my trick is to do like an X shape. So as you can see, I did an X shape, and like this, it helps you, it's sort of like a guide. So what I do is I just go from here and connect it with the other side. And you don't want to do it all at once. So first what I do is I add a little bit and then I add a bit more, and then I continue. I'm not using just one line and that's it, you know? I'm using very, very slow motions, and just as you can see, I'm just going very, very lightly over it. Next up is lipstick. So I'm using the one from ColourPop in the shade Oh Snap. This one is matte. So I'm just gonna apply it in the center. So first I apply it in the center, and then I go like that, and then I just add a bit more. And as you can see, I went a little bit overboard and I added too much lip liner. So what I do is I take some concealer. I'm using this one from LA Girl because it's very, very easy to use. This one is in the shade Natural. And I'm just gonna go underneath a tiny bit. And then I take my brush from Better and I blend it out because obviously we cannot leave it like this. And last step, I'm gonna add some lip gloss. This one is from Dior. I'm using the shade 257 Pearl. And I'm just gonna add a bit in the middle. Just like so. And then blend it out with my finger. The last step is setting spray. So I'm using my setting spray from Mario Badescu. And what I typically do is I take a towel and then add it on my hair because I don't want setting spray in my hair. But I don't have a towel here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make sure my hair is all the way back. And then I take my hand and I cover this part. And I'm just gonna set it. And then do the same on the other side. If I have a fan or something, that would be great, but I just have this. So you just wanna let it dry. And then once it's almost dry, I'm gonna use my beauty blender to pat everything in. So this is the complete look. This is my everyday, natural, whatever you want to call it, tutorial for beginners. I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below, please. Subscribe to my channel and give a thumbs up. And also don't forget to ring the notifications bell for more videos like this. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye!